We're not gonna do any of that. Anyways, but yeah, it'll be interesting as far as you know, where that I guess scales to, because you're right. Mali is such a open, broad kind of thing, so it'll be interesting, kind of how that goes. But anyways, um, so as you can tell, we're I guess recording our very first podcast, right? We're gonna put it out anyways, right? So with shitty podcast room and all, right? So not because we don't have the ability to do what we need to do to the room, and we already have the design to the room, and we were gonna prep the room and make it all nice and pretty. But I think that I guess there's some value, and I would like to record the first one exactly as it is, just raw and white walls, the TV still up from the person that was in this office before. And, I got my granddaughter's little picture up there, and I thought it'd be really cool to record the very first one. And just as it stands before we actually make all the changes to the room, which is really, really neat. Right. So, not only that, as you could tell, we have an empty chair.
We do.
We have an empty chair. So that is actually going to be my business partner, Sebastian, in our software dev firm, who will hopefully be your new business partner in this new venture. Would be really awesome. So anyway, on this show, we're going to talk about our core stacks, right? You and I, and we'll bring Sebastian into this and pop him probably into, we'll probably end up doing like one with Sebastian by himself or something, right? And like kind of plug him in or something. But what we want to talk about in this is when you and I met. So we met at the board of a nonprofit, right? That's the first time you and I met. And, I can't speak for you and, kind of, what your feeling was. But when I walked out of that board meeting, I remember telling my wife, I'm like, that guy, Adam? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm going to do something with him.
Absolutely.
I don't know what, and I don't know what it looks like, but I'm going to do something with him because the energy was just so on point, right? Like the way you carried yourself and the things you were saying, like I could already tell. I'm like, this is a guy that I want to have dinner with at some point and talk to him about what makes him tick. Like that was super. You were super interesting to me. You know what I mean? So, and then here we are.
Absolutely. Right? No, I felt exactly the same way. And it's funny when you're in a room with somebody and you can just feel that we're in line. We're aligned with how we approach things.
Yeah.
I felt the same way, and fast forwarding to when we actually did get together for lunch, to find out that you approach the day the same exact way that I do as far as breaking down the F stack, right? Which leads us to the FBOMB podcast, right? So it's super exciting to finally be here. 6 months in the making, and we're finally in our first episode. So it's amazing to finally see this come together, and to get into the nitty gritty on the different things that make us tick.
Yeah. Now to just so what everyone knows what the F stacks are, right? So so I try to live my life, and the way that I approach every day with everything that I do is I've always felt like I've always called them F bombs. I just didn't know what that actually meant to anybody. I knew what they meant to me, and I thought it was just funny, right? It's a kind of a pun, right? Like when you think F bombs, you think, oh, this guy's throwing FUs all over the place, right?
That's right.
And the F bombs for me has always been my faith, my family, my finance, my fitness, and my freedom. Like those are the 5 things that for me, no one's gonna take those away from me. Period. The end. It is a non-negotiable for me, right? Like that's how I operate in the story. Those are the things that matter to me. And if I'm gonna do anything in my life, especially as I've gotten older, those are the things that are non-negotiable to me, right? Funny thing is we're at lunch, and we weren't even talking about a podcast, right? Really, what we were talking about is aligning on some other things that we thought that might be of value, right? And as I'm talking, I talk about my F bombs, and you're like, oh, F bombs, what are that? I'm like, well, these are these, and you jump in and said, oh, those are F stacks.
Yeah.
Okay, new. What are those? Yeah, these are the things. And then you had the same 5 with 2 other ones.
Yep.
So what are the 2 other ones?
So faith, family, fitness, finance, future, freedom, and foundation.
And foundation. So it's foundation and future.
Yep.
On top of the 5 that I had.
Right.
So that's kind of where the F stacks came from. So where did you initially hear that, or where did that come from for you?
Yeah. So it must have been like 4 or 5 years ago. I actually took some coaching programs. I'm a huge believer in education, right? So I always like to be learning every year, get involved with some sort of coaching program, and learn something new,
Yeah.
right? And that was one of the biggest takeaways that I got out of that specific coaching program. And it's one of those things that I've kind of oriented how I do my goals, how I start my day, and I've done it for probably about 5 years now.
Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I started probably right around that time, and it's funny. So my business partner, he knows this, right? So right around, I would say 6 7 years ago, like I really kind of took a step back and really started to really analyze a lot of things in my life, right? Like, not that I had been bad up to that point. I've always been very blessed. I've always felt, even before I had anything and built anything, I always felt like God gave me more than I ever deserved. Like I always
Totally.
feel that way. Like I always feel like it's just not, it's too much, right? And I'm gonna be honest, part of it I had to learn to understand that that still didn't mean that I didn't deserve it, or some of it at least, right? Because for a long time it was a detriment to my growth. It really was. Because I felt like I didn't deserve it, I would like self-sabotage myself into like not having it. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally.
And there's a very big difference between feeling like you don't deserve it at all and self-sabotaging yourself into going back into the shitter, no offense, right? Because I've been in the shitter plenty of times, to understanding and realizing that there's a reason, whatever God people believe in, I have my God that I believe in, but for whatever the reason, the right way to approach that is not so much of, hey, I don't deserve it, so let me self-sabotage and just crush myself. Let me accept it, right? And understand that I've done something right, but then really spend that energy more than anything serving other people, serving other things. Does that make sense?
100%.
That has been the biggest difference, and that has been the last 7 years. What I've tried to do the most is understand, like, it's not that I don't deserve it. He's giving it to me because he wants me to then in turn try to touch as many people as possible.
And that's exactly it, right? So I've always felt the same way. I've been given way more than I deserve in my mind, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I realized, I'm a control freak,
Yeah.
right? And
See, I never knew that about you.
oh, I'm a total control freak. I like to think that I'm in control,
Yeah.
but the truth is, we are not in control,
Yeah.
right?
No, agreed.
And as these opportunities come up, I absolutely feel grateful, and all of a sudden I feel overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to control it, right?
Yeah.
And that's where, it's been a huge process for me, just trying to let go and trust the process and trust that his plan is better than mine could ever be,
Yeah.
right? And in that gratitude, move into action, right? And I think faith is an action word, right? Because it's one of those things where if you don't take action, all of a sudden these opportunities become overwhelming for me,
Yeah.
right? So, um, yeah, I think it's really interesting how it's evolved over the last couple of years for me, um, and it's just a matter of thanking God every single day for the beautiful life that I have, and writing out that to do list in the essence of how am I going to be of service today.
Yeah, yeah. And that's kind of, again, been one of the things. And I actually peeled back 7 years ago from just some other things because I felt like, again, I felt like I wasn't serving others as much as I should, right? Like I had, up until that point, I had done relatively well. And I just felt my feeling, like to my core, I felt like it's just not enough. And what I mean by not enough is not for me. It wasn't enough. Like I'm not doing enough. Like I always feel. So I was talking to my wife the other day, and one of the things that, and I don't know how you feel. See, I grew up with nothing, right? Like I'm a Compton kid, right? My dad was around, but not really around, and I grew up mostly with my mom, and I had to take a bus from Compton to God knows where to who knows where, and it was just my I'm blessed that I got to have what I have, but that doesn't mean that I don't understand these things, right? So but I always have this feeling, whether it's true or untrue, I always have this feeling like somebody's always trying to take away what I've earned, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, I wake up every day and I think to myself like, okay, how much more work can I put in today?
Yeah.
Like, how much more can I do today? And in some retrospect, it's good, right? Having that work ethic is great, and I'm not fighting that. But again, and I know we talked about it off camera, and before we had this amazing conversation that they didn't catch because the camera wasn't on, but that's fine. you know, it, I I've learned to not. Okay, I'm in the process of learning to not do more, and I know we talked about it off camera, but not necessarily do more, but I had this feeling that I needed to do more of what matters. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that we talked about, right? It's not about doing more. I felt like I'm doing a lot. Shit, man, I have all these companies. I'm doing a lot.
Right.
I'm just not doing more of what actually matters.
I totally agree.
Not only in my businesses, but externally, like who am I impacting? Like who am I, you know what I mean? Like who am I helping? Like how many people did I help today, this month, last week? Like, and I felt like it just wasn't enough is what my feeling was.
I totally agree. And so for me, a couple of years ago, I realized I had a problem with alcohol. And it was back to that control thing, right? And, at that time, I didn't realize how selfish I had become in my life. And I had done a lot of successful things like you, built some really great businesses and things like that. But, I just realized how miserable I was. And I thought to myself, I was like, if I died today, who would be there at my funeral? Right? Who have I really impacted? Right? It'd be a lonely room, in my opinion. Yeah, sure, I'd have some family members and things like that, but who am I really impacting? Right? So I ended up really burning it all down and rebuilding everything. Right? I realized I had to, if I wanted to be the person I always wanted to be, I had to redo everything. Right? So I restructured my entire life. Set aside from my wife, thank God she didn't leave me, right? But I basically rebuilt my business and my approach to life in the perspective of what am I leaving behind, right? Who am I really impacting, right? So rather than approaching the day on who can I help in real estate, I let that go and I just said who can I help today, right? And with that approach, everything changed. I'm now so much more involved with my community, with my church, with my family. And in turn, my business has thrived because of it, and it's extremely humbling to, again, the point that God, has continually put all these amazing opportunities in front of me. But I think it's because of the decision I made to reapproach life in a totally different way that has given me so much peace and grace today, and an amazing life. It's such a full life, right? It's a life beyond my wildest dreams, and it's because of that approach to be of service, and the byproduct is I'm going to be just fine.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I
it
mean?
takes a lot of courage, man. A lot of people wouldn't have gone through there's pain in everything that you want to do worth doing, by the way. Like that's the other thing that I've learned I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm going to be 49 this year. I'll be 50 next year, which is just crazy to me, right? I never thought I'd be that old, but it is what it is. But one of the things I've learned is that you have zero change in growth without pain, right?
100%.
Like period. Like you want to lose weight. There's the pain of fasting or intermittent fasting or time restricted eating. There's the pain of, hey, I can't eat that French fry, Big Mac, Burger King, McNuggets, right? There's the pain of like, hey, I can't eat the bowl of ice cream, right? There's a pain of I can't eat that, or I have to limit possibly my carb intake or whatever it is you're going to do, right? There is pain in everything that you have to do. I want to be a better businessman. Great. There's pain in the fact that you have to read books. There's pain in the fact that you have to go take master classes, right? And learn how to be a good leader, right? Oh, I want to be a better, my son plays competitive soccer, right? I want to be a better soccer player. There's pain in being a better soccer player. You got to take extra one-on-ones. You got to be on the field 11 times a week. And there's always pain if you want to change or you want growth, right?
100%.
The fact that you were willing to go through that pain, right? Because most people, I mean, I hate to say it, but most people don't have the courage to do that.
Well, and the challenge is, there's a coach out there telling you the magic pill at every corner, right?
Yeah.
So the hardest part for me was having that faith and trusting that that was the right instinct that I had to follow, right? Because everything in the industry tells you not to do what I did.
Not to do what you did. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep, 100%.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, I just had to trust what felt right. And at the end of the day, it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
My life is so full now, right? Being involved with multiple nonprofits, making time for the little things that in reality I've come to find out are the big things.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. So we, So we ended up, for me specifically, I used to fly out a lot. Right? I had clients all over the country, and I had clients in Minnesota, Florida, New York, New Jersey. I mean, everywhere, right? So I used to fly out a lot. And one thing that I didn't particularly enjoy, not so much the traveling. I don't mind the traveling. I'm a light packer, so I'm backpack in and out, and I'm easy breezy, right? I don't particularly enjoy being away from my wife and my son. Like I just don't enjoy that feeling at all. Like I want to take my son to school. I want to pick him up from school. I want to talk to him on his way to practice. Like those things matter to me to do those things, right? And I want to be with my wife, and I want to ask her how her day was, and I want to try and cook her dinner if I get home on time. Like those are things that actually matter to me, right? Mm-hmm. So again, the second FBOMB family, right?
Right.
So one of the things that, again, going through the pain, right? I ended up dropping a lot of my out-of-state clients that took that time.
Right.
And again, just to give some perspective, we're not talking about a client that I was making $500 or $1,000 on. I'm talking about a client that was, meant $7, $8, $12, $15, $20,000 a month in monthly recurring revenue for my business. Right. You take 4 or 5 of those, you're $50,000-$60,000 less to the bottom line.
Yeah, your business model just changed.
100%.
Yeah.
That is a massive, massive undertaking. Right? Now, did it come without change? No. Did it come without pain? Absolutely not. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's not like I just recouped that money somehow. I needed to make changes to my business to make that work. Right.
In order to have the life that you wanted, you had to go through that uncomfort and have the faith that everything was going to be not just good, but exactly how it was meant to be.
100%. That's kind of part of the, the reason that I wanted to, do this show, right? Like part of the reason I want to do this show is because part of it is selfish, right? And I understand that very clearly. I'm very self-aware of the selfish part of why I want to do the show, right? And here's my selfish part. I like, obviously it's important for me why you want to do the show, which I want to hear, but I'll give you my selfish reasons why I want to do the show. So I was listening to somebody a while ago, and they said something to me. They said something in the interview or whatever that I never really thought about. And then when I thought about it, when they said it, I thought about it, and I'm like, oh my God, that is so goddamn true. You're one generation away from being completely forgotten and irrelevant.
Yeah.
You're like, think about it, right? Like humans only live generally 100, not even 100. Let's call it mid 80s, right? Mm-hmm. And I happen to think I age relatively well, right? I'm looking pretty decent, but at the end of the day, I'm one generation away from being completely forgotten. So, for example, I have grandkids. My grandkids are going to remember me. Their kids are probably going to remember me. Hopefully, if I live long enough. Their kids won't even know who I am.
Right.
They'll hear about me. But they'll hear about me through third account stories.
Right.
Hey, your grandpa, awesome, great businessman, great human being. He did this, he sat on the board of this nonprofit, helped a lot of people. Yay.
Right.
But other than that, there's going to be no type of proof or anything they can go to. Right. So my selfish reason for starting this show is I don't start the show because I want it to blow up. And if it does, that's awesome. But if we make money off of it, great. But that's not why I want to do it. My selfish reason is I don't want to be one generation removed from being forgotten. Not because I care about being forgotten. I don't care about that. But I want to continue the impact of people that I care about, right? I want my grandkids to, when I'm no longer here, I want them to be able to watch a video that their grandpa put out about something about life that he's teaching. Somebody just happens to be talking at a show like this, maybe into the camera, and they're maybe going through something similar.
Right.
And they go to the show or they go to that recording and they hear me talk and they say, I feel like he's talking to me. I felt like that was for me.
I love that.
30 years ago.
No, I love
30
that.
years ago, he put out this video that helped me today, and I never even met the man.
Right.
That's my selfish reason. That's the impact I want to have. And in the process, if I impact other people, then that's just a bonus. But my selfish reason is I want to leave a legacy, not of money or, hey, look at these businesses. I don't care about any of that. I want to leave a legacy of information and knowledge that they can access readily and freely whenever they want.
That's awesome.
A library full of things that I've said where, again, 100 years from now, one of my great-great-grandkids that never met me can watch thousands of videos of me and say, I knew exactly who my grandpa was. And I tend to act this way, and I know who I got it from. That's my selfish reason.
I love that.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what your reason is, but that's my selfish reason.
Yeah, no, we're even more alike than I realized just by what you said there. For me, it's very similar. You know what I mean? I think I would be doing the opportunity and the wonderful life that I've been given a disservice if I didn't do my best to share the best parts of it, the good and the bad, right? And hopefully somebody out there can take something away from it. But I knew by how we were connected and what our vision was for this, I was going to learn a ton in the process. I was going to learn a ton about life and business, faith, going into the F stack. You know what I mean? So again, that's my selfish reason as far as who we're going to get to engage with and all of their 2 cents that they're going to throw into the hat and what I'm going to learn. But of course, going back to what you just said, how can I help the next guy? Right? How can I help the next person that might be struggling with something that I just experienced myself? Excuse me. Oh, yeah. How can I share my 2 cents that have made such an impact in my life, right? And try and lift that next person up and hopefully learn something throughout the process as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, listen, I know you got to go. You got an appointment, right? That you got to do.
Yep.
We're going to talk plenty. We're going to have plenty of time. We kind of wanted to do, I guess let's call it a trial run, but we're going to post it, man. So,
Sounds
I have
good.
zero fear, right? We're going to post it. This will be episode number 1. It is what it is, right? And for anybody that's watching, we appreciate you guys going on this journey with us. Listen, we're not going to be perfect, but we don't want to be perfect, right? We don't want perfect. We want progress, right? So we're just trying to get out of our environment, touch as many people and things as we want. And sure, we have some selfish reasons, but I think at the end of the day, I think more than anything else, myself, you, Sebastian, I think we've all agreed that one of the things that we were put on this earth to do is to serve, right? And we want to serve as many people as possible. And hopefully within that process, you'll join us in the journey. And I promise you, this room is going to get way nicer. It wasn't because we don't have the ability to change this room out. We could have done that already. But we thought it was important for everybody to see kind of what we started with. And, this was kind of, again, this is raw and I guess an uncut to some degree, right? But anyways, with that being said, man, I appreciate you. I'm glad you and Sebastian are the ones coming on this journey with me. And I'm really excited as to, kind of where this is going to take us.
Absolutely. Extremely excited and can't wait to keep getting into it and see where this takes us. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Appreciate you guys. See ya.
Awesome.